Alright, howdy everybody. Up for my next videos. I was lucky enough to be included as the last person before they get sent back to Nick on the West Coast for the RHA tour. First video I'm going to do is on the RHA L1 DAC amp. I was surprised because when I applied I didn't make the tour, but then someone dropped out, so I was lucky enough to get on it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick video review of this, and then I will do separate reviews on the excellent little CL1 ceramic, and then off in the background I have the CL750s. I wanted to do these first. This is the testing gear I used. I compared the DAC amp L1 to my FIO A5 amp. I know this is just an amp. I know that's a DAC amp and it's more expensive, but this has more power and I make some good conclusions. I ran them both through my FIO X5 version 3, which I really like. And then as a standard, I also have a Shanling M5, which I'll do a review on later. I really like both of these DAPs. So connection cable was just through a cheap connection. I did try and run line out on most of them. With the Shanling, the line out is a maxed out volume like most are, but with the FIO, there's the line out, coax or line out, you have adjustable volume. And I think I've written a few times on the thread that in a mid-fi DAP, having the line out be adjustable is kind of a novelty, and it does make a difference. It turns the L1 into from a mediocre to a pretty nice one, depending upon how you have the volume on that. Alright, there's the top, there's the volume pot. One thing you'll notice when I turn it on, there should be a blue light there. I did have an issue. The blue light is not on anymore. I am the last one on the tour, so I kind of blame all the air miles and the traveling and what have you. And I also did have to get a replacement pair of CL750s, which I'll talk about when we get to that. It does come with a balanced cable outlet, and I do not have that hooked up. I rarely use that because that's the only balanced one I have, and I wanted to be fair, even though the CL ones come with a balanced cable and a regular. There is the regular headphone out. Or sorry, headphone in. Okay, the volume pot goes from 0 to 5. Okay, on the bottom you have the line in. You can run optical. You have the line out, so you can use this straight as a DAC, like from your computer. I did not do that. I wanted to run strictly mobile because this is the marketing for this is for mobile. And then on the bottom you'll notice 3 switches. That's the charging port. Depending upon where you set it, you can run it for power, which is the line out, or in the middle, which is USB, or far left for iOS. I know Brooko did this and he ran that. I did not run this. I do have a cable that would do it. I kind of saw no reason to run it through my iPhone because I would be, if I were to purchase one of these, I'd be running it through either one of these. All right, so that's the bottom. I had it in focus. There we go. Okay, and then on the left we get to the interesting stuff. You see there's gain. It's kind of hard to read, which I found as it is, but the gain, there is a charge setting. There's low, there's medium, and there's high. And then the bass, which you'll have to trust me on this, goes from a -3 to a +9 dBs, and so does the treble. What I found interesting is I ran this at a +3 and I ran this flat, which is the setting that I used to have on my old Alpine car stereo in my old Opel GT that I had. I don't know if that's placebo effect or brain burn-in or it just sounds the best, but that is what I liked. Now, when I ran this straight as an amp, I did find it kind of mediocre and lacking power. But running it through the line out on either the Shanling, especially the Shanling because the line out volume is maxed out, but it was quite adequate with the FIO and line out and adjusting the volume, that this did provide adequate power. I've kind of come to the conclusion that even though an amp may have a whole lot more power, that's not necessarily good. It's kind of like having horsepower but it's how you use the horsepower. It's the torque rating in cars that is actually more beneficial. So with that in mind, I'd say that this has quite adequate power to run your devices and headphones. And I will say right off the bat that the CL1 is quite hard to drive. I would put it actually one step harder than my MEE Audio Pinnacle P1s, which are legendary for needing power to drive. Did these sound okay straight out of the DAP? Yeah, they did, but they're made together. It's kind of like Sonny and Cher, Bert and Ernie. You know, what's one without the other? Or the two old guys, Statler and Waldorf from the Muppet Show. What's one without the other? All right, enough of that. Sound quality, how did this sound? The volume pot with it hooked up to line out is quite sensitive. I found myself going, let's let you look at the numbers right side up. Usually no higher than about 2 to 2.5. Anything more than that, and you know, I don't hear as well anymore, but I prefer to keep hearing well into my old age. I would say that this is running neutral, 0-0 on this. It provides a good full sound. I would say that it's not as warm. This one does sound slightly warmer. And yes, I did have the bass boost on this and high gain, but I found that I had to run this on high gain all the time. If I put it on low gain, then yeah, I probably would have gone a little bit higher on the volume pot. And I can see that maybe there was a bit of adjustment, but I chose to run it on high gain because I had this one set on high gain, and I just did my comparisons there. So sound-wise, I'd say this is a pretty darn good attempt. This is, I hate to call it a jack of all trades. It has a very clean DAC feature in it. I don't hear well enough to say whether it's better than the DAC in this or the Shandling. What I do know is that it, compared to just running this and the FIO, that this gave a little bit brighter, a little bit cleaner sound. So maybe this to me sounded a little bit muddy. Again, that was on the high gain with bass boost on. This was on high gain with the bass at 3. I guess you could call it, I wouldn't call it a bass boost, a bass enhancement. But this just to me sounded a little bit clouded. I hate to use the word veiled, but a little bit clouded. I did get used to it. I like the sound coming out of these. This is the ceramic, the CL1s are a very V-shaped sound. And the nice thing about this is it's kind of like, well, you know, Bert and Ernie again, going back to that. They complement each other. So if the bass is too much, you can tone it down. If the treble is not enough for you, then you can tone it up. Right? Just the sheer adjustability of this. See if I can actually get in there and see. I don't think I can. There we go. There you can see it. Oh, now I have it upside down, of course. So, slightly, I'd call it cloudy, not muddied, because I would do that. I would say it's an excellent attempt by RHA and the team to provide a high-quality DAC amp. The quality construction is good. I kind of like this one-piece aluminum around there with the curve. And then, as Brooke also mentioned, this is siliconized rubber. It's for good shock protection. Stacking together, they fit really well together. They do. Using the bands that FIO provided would cover that a little bit. And then it does cover down here. There's not really much going on. Stacking with the Shandling, it's a little bit different, and I would keep the case on there. The Shandling ends up being a little bit narrower and just slightly longer. One thing I noticed when I had these stacked, I took this on a walk. I do have the plastic case on there, so I'm not going to scratch it. I took this on a walk at my daughter's soccer practice. This is heavy. While it's portable and it's stacking, there's heft to this. This is not light by any means. This is much heavier. So together, we're talking there's a chunk. When I put these together with the A5, it is slightly larger. They are meant to go together. Again, kind of like those two, the CL1s and the L1. but I think it's nice to have options. If I were to recommend these, which I would, if you like V-shape and you like the ability of two objects that were probably designed together and to be used together, then you could do a lot worse. Messing with my Audi. You could do a lot worse than the two prices combined. You're going to be spending $1,000 on that. Some people like that all-in-one type thing. It's like you go one place, I can get those items, and we're good. I prefer to go a little bit piecemeal. Hence, I threw in and I compared those to my Vibros and then to my FLC8S. But that will have to wait for the next video. So overall, I think RHA did a really nice job on this. The design, it's scratch-proof. It's essentially scratch-proof. Not that I'm going to go scratching it, but I know some of these things with a color like this, you scratch it and it's there. Very well built together, very well put together. Many options. Comparatively to the iFi ISD Micro Black Label, this is much more portable. I think many people called the iFi Transportable. That's more of a desktop. This could be used. I know the Black Label has more adjustability than this, and it does provide more power. They're within $20 of each other. I know you're dying for the question, which one would I recommend if I were to be looking at the price range for this or the Black Label? Sorry, RHA, I gotta say I would choose the Black Label. Even though it's not portable, I've already got this, so I really don't need it. I think this is an excellent attempt by RHA to enter that. They're kind of stretching their boundaries. They're going beyond their comfort zone, and I applaud them for doing this. This is a very nice piece of equipment. Actuation of the buttons is solid. Kind of a finicky volume pot, but again, that's only due to running line out. Okay, if you have an adjustable line out, that's less of a problem. I did find myself with this that I was very, very careful with the volume pot. I like the feel of everything on here. It's solid, okay, just like their headphones. So there you go. I would definitely look at this if you're in the market for something like that. It's well worth a look, a listen, and a comparison. All right, RHA Dacamp L1, retail price $549. It's worth a look. Thanks.